Well, it looks like I'm 1 minute late. I'm terribly sorry, everyone. I know you've just been hanging by your computer screen. Just said, "Where is he? I hope he's okay. He's so old. He's anything could happen at his age." Anyway, I don't quite know where to begin today because we're going to talk more about this important doctrine, if you will, of the descent of spirit into matter and the climax of the descent of spirit into matter and why it matters. So let me start by just quoting the first verse or the opening verses of the book of the law. It says, Had, the manifestation of Nuit, the unveiling of the company of heaven. Every man and every woman is a star. So you're a star. I'm a star. Constance is a big star. We're all stars. And like the celestial stars, we're all of different sizes, different ages, different masses, and different memories, and different experiences, and each unique in our own way. And if we can believe our modern astrophysicists, when a star of a certain age and a certain size, containing a certain mass, and with that age and mass comes all of the experience and the memory and the input that that star contains, the information, if you will, of its entire life cycle experience goes into making that star what it is. And when a star of a certain size, containing a certain mass, a certain age, starts to use up or runs out of its nuclear fuel, some of its mass starts to flow to its core. And eventually that core gets so heavy, all of that's going down into the core at the very center of all of it. It gets so heavy that it collapses. And when it collapses, it explodes with that as a supernova, okay? And all of that material, all of those memories, all of that mass, all of that information that had been compressed into that center flows out into space. And some of it is literally seeded into hydrogen clouds and becomes the seeds of brand new baby stars. In other words, it gets so dense, so low, so there's no place else for it to go except explode out in its own spectacular death to seed a whole new generation of stars. Okay. keeping that in mind, we've got a situation with Kabbalah where we're trying to think of things, existence, and cycles of life itself in terms of these trees of life, or a tree of life, okay? And we've been thinking of that. We have a tree of life for each of the Yod He Vav He of the divine name of God, and that's wands, cups, swords, and discs. And we're sort of talking about all of this in context, or using the vocabulary of tarot to think about these things. And we talked yesterday about the Princess of Discs, because she represents Earth of Earth. And Earth of Earth is that place where everything has condensed down. The core is collapsing. The core is collapsing in the Princess of Discs. And her small card counterpart would be the 10 of Discs. So the Princess of Discs has this, and the suit of discs, the ace and Princess of Discs, has this incredible special job to do, and that is seed a brand new start, seed a brand new generation of life. That's big magic, and it's not the kind of magic that's shared with the suit of wands or cups or swords. Earth, Asiya. That's why there isn't. It doesn't even get its own Hebrew letter. It gets another Hey. It's special. Hey is special. And I joke in my lectures, and I've got a funny little slide that says, "Oh, the Earth is screwed." Okay, Earth princesses, tens. Oh, they don't. They're all terrible cards. And no, they're extremely special. The tens are Malkuth, but Malkuth isn't Kether, and Kether isn't Malkuth. Princesses are special. They don't get signs of the zodiac. They don't deal in quadrants of time. No, they deal with quadrants of space, and hold the key, the glue, if you will, that is the hyphen in the term space-time. Big stuff. Princess is big stuff. So when we get to talking about the princesses and the tens, and today we're going to talk specifically about the 10 of discs. Now this is my 10 of discs, or Constance and I. Okay, it's a very simple tree of life, but you'll notice that the Malkuth there is swollen. It's bloated. Okay, and in Crowley's Book of Thoth, if I can quickly find it for us. Crowley's 10 of discs has a bloated Malkuth too. But I want you to notice, and because we're going to talk about it in just a second, you'll notice all of these symbols of Mercury that are in every one of the Sephira, different kinds of, even the Hebrew there is, the Bet is a mercurial Bet, and the Raphael is a mercurial archangel, and trust me, every one, with one exception, are symbols of Mercury. And it's Mercury in Earth, because the 10 of discs is Mercury in Virgo. Mutable Earth. Mutable Earth. Earth open to the possibility of change. So, every one of the small, why is it Mercury in Virgo? This handy diagram, which if you would color in one of the illustrations in, probably one of my books here, you'll notice that Virgo, right there, mutable Earth and discs, the 10 degrees of Virgo are covered by the 8, 9, and 10 of discs. Okay, why is it Virgo? Why is Mercury lands there? That's because everything goes in descending tree of life order, like that. Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sol, Venus, Mercury, Luna. And starting at the Chaldeans' astrological start of the year, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, Venus, Mercury. The 10 of discs is Mercury in Virgo. Now, Virgo. Mercury rules and Mercury is exalted in Virgo. Virgo is Mercury on steroids, and Mercury is Thoth, and this whole damn setup is the doctrine of Thoth himself. Tarot is the book of Thoth. So, but I'm rambling on. Here's what Crowley says about the 10 of discs. And remember, he's talking about that illustration right there. The 10 of discs represents the climax of the descent into matter. The collapse of the core. And is the signal for the redintegration by spirit. And as we talked yesterday, redintegration is the return to the former estate by just taking a little piece of what used to be a whole and recreating a new whole. W-H-O-L-E. Crowley calls this card a hieroglyph, quote, a hieroglyph of the cycle of regeneration. It is, after all, the last tarot card. It represents the lowest sphere, Malkuth, Earth, of the lowest Kabbalistic world, Asiya, and the material plane. The tens of the other suits have somewhere to go. They simply cooperate with gravity and degenerate into the next suit. 10 of Wands drips into the Ace of Cups. 10 of Cups drips into the Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords drips into the Ace of Discs. 10 of discs has no place to drip. Okay. For the 10 of discs, there is no place to descend, no place to grow, no place to go. The 10 of discs is forced to do something that no other small card is called upon to do. From its position at the bottom of the cosmos, it has to somehow form a link with the secret of creation. Then actually reincarnate, fresh and new, at the very top of the tarot cycle. Now, I don't know if you recall from yesterday, but I wanted to call your attention to the fact that from an alchemical point of view, the three main characters in the mode of operation of existence itself has been said, at least, to be Mercury, Sol, or the sun, and the Earth. Mercury, Sun, Earth. Keeping that in mind. In other words, the Ten of Discs must regenerate the world. That's some trick, and it's going to take the biggest trickster in the universe to help pull it off. But let's first take a look at the card. Lady Harris's interpretation is almost comically poignant. A tree of life made entirely of massive, heavy coins. Its Malkuth bulging at the bottom as if the forces and energies of all the tarot cards. The memory, the experience. I'm digressing there. All the Sephiroth and paths, all the Kabbalistic worlds have settled into it like the tired sediment of the entire universe. For lack of a more genteel illusion, this card is a portrait of cosmic constipation. I'm a vulgar man. For lack of a more genteel illusion, the card is a portrait, oh, excuse me, I'll say that one again. A magical laxative will need to be administered to prevent this stagnant wealth of energy, experience, and matter from putrefying and poisoning the body. Is there a doctor in the house? Yes, the best doctor in the universe. The god of physicians and magicians, the god who tradition informs us invented the tarot. Thoth, Hermes, Mercury. This is perfect. For a job like this, his credentials are amazing. First of all, Mercury, the magus, as the magus, knows his way around the supernal triad. Remember that the path of Mercury is above the abyss and joins Kether 1 to Bina 3. As Hermes, he descended into the lower regions of the land of the dead and returned to Olympus with Persephone to regenerate the cycle of seasons. Do you see a theme forming here? If he could do that, jump-starting the Ten of Discs is going to be a piece of cake. His greatest credential is that he is Thoth, the inventor and sustainer of this entire tarot universe. As if to attract Mercury's attention, so that he may perform this most necessary magic, Harris painted this card as a veritable invocation of Mercury. All the Sephiroth but one bear an image or word sacred to Mercury. In Kether, we find the most common symbol for the planet Mercury. In Hokmah, the symbol of Mercury is as the magus, and that's, well, it's a little bit different. In Binah, the symbol of the alchemical Mercury. In Hesed, the letter Pe, the Enochian equivalent to the letter B. Harris associated that with Mercury, like it is in Hebrew. Tifereth, the name of Raphael, written in Hebrew, the ruling angel of Mercury. Netzach, the eight-pointed star of Mercury. Hod, the hexagram within the hexagon, the symbol of the sun. The symbol of sun in the Sephiroth of Mercury. But in Yesod, we got Pythagorean detectors, tic-tac, wrists. And in Malkuth, the mercurial caduceus, made of the 3 mother letters of the Hebrew alphabet. So, we've got a super invocation of Mercury on steroids, represented in one tree of life. But in Mercury's own Sephiroth, or emanation, the sun has been implanted. Remember what, if I can find it fast enough here. Yeah, here we go. Remember the hermit? He's got a lamp in his hand down there in the underworld with all of that potential spermy things floating around, impregnating that new egg. Why do all the Sephiroths contain an image of Mercury except Hod, the sphere of Mercury itself? That's a very good question. Crowley mentions it as being the key to this remarkable regenerative process. Quote, "The discs are inscribed with the various symbols of mercurial character, except that the coin in the place of Hod, Mercury, on the tree, is marked with the cipher of the sun. This indicates the only possibility of issue from the impasse produced by the exhaustion of all the elemental forces. The sun in Hod is the only possibility of breaking the impasse. Constipation, the laxative that fixes the constipation. I take this to mean that at this stage of the game, Mercury needs inspiration and direction. And Crowley says this most succinctly. When wealth, and that's the title of the 10 of this, wealth, when wealth accumulates beyond a certain point, it must either become completely inert and cease to be wealth, or call in the aid of intelligence to use it rightly. In this way, Carnegie establishes a library. Rockefeller endows research, simply because there is nothing else to do, unquote. By plugging the sun in the sphere of Mercury, in a tree of life otherwise loaded with Mercury, Harris is calling in the aid of intelligence to give this card the spiritual integrity necessary to regenerate the world and become the ultimate cosmic philanthropist. And when Harris finished painting that card, she wrote, "Oh, how I would love to do it all again." I'm going to end with Crowley's comment on the 10 of discs, keeping all my ramblings in mind. The number 10, Malkuth, as always, represents the final issue of the energy. Here is great and final solidification. The force is completely expended and results in death. Mercury rules this card in Virgo, and this may imply that the acquired wealth, being inert, will be dissipated unless put to further use by devoting its power to objects other than mere accumulation. The discs, or as they've now become coins, are arranged on the tree of life, but the 10th coin is much larger than the rest. The image indicates the futility of material gain. The discs are inscribed with various symbols of mercurial character, except the coin in the place of Hode, Mercury on the tree, marked with a cipher of the sun. We just quoted from there. This card is, in fact, a hieroglyph of the cycle of regeneration. And so, the climax of the descent of matter, I hope you sort of get the method to the madness of how those planets are assigned and why everything just sort of conspires nicely in that 10 of discs to paint a picture of a star of the right experience and the right size and the right memories and the right mass, supernovaing to start the whole cycle all over again. Anyway, that should confuse us enough, and tomorrow, well, we'll figure out some kind of Saturday morning cartoons. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.